Hello, this is Photography Gamer. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Subnautica for the PS4. The game is also available for the Xbox Series X, Microsoft Windows and the Nintendo Switch. Subnautica is an open world survival game developed by Unknown Worlds Entertainment. The game sees you attempt to survive on an alien world covered with water. So what is the game like to play? Well, it's a survival game, which means you have to eat, drink and ensure you've got enough oxygen in your underwater adventure. Most survival games adopt these principles, but I'd say in the beginning the amount of oxygen in your tanks is so low it becomes quite a chore just to get around and explore. However, when you die you don't lose everything you're carrying, but you do lose a little bit here and there. It's kind of random. So the death penalties in survival mode at least are pretty light. I'd say the game takes a good 6 to 8 hours before you really do feel established, because you start out with absolutely nothing, but this is where the crafting comes in. In order to progress in the game, you need to gather resources and craft new technology. The Fabricator is a sci-fi workbench where you can make fins, air tanks and all manner of materials and things that are going to help you through your adventure. The menus are simple and really help make crafting a pleasure rather than a chore. The same, however, can't be said for building your first base. Now, it's not that the tool you use is bad, it's the fact that you have to take note of your oxygen at all times. But then again, there is always creative mode which takes away all of the jeopardy. Another issue is your inventory space being too small. It really does nothing for the experience, and it's just another lazy way to extend the game time, meaning that you can't carry very much at all. So you've always got to put this in a locker, take that out of a locker, carry this over here, drop that, take this back there, do this. You know, it's really unnecessary, and I think inventory space in computer games should really just be unlimited because it really doesn't do anything other than make everything take 10 years. The game world is mostly underwater, but you will find land-based areas. There are different biomes with wildlife and environmental elements that vary. The story is actually pretty good. I'm not going to ruin it, but the more you progress, it makes for a much more satisfying game, as it's not just about grinding for no reason. There is an attainable endgame here, and it's quite good when compared to the usual dross you get in a survival game. I mean, it's not as good as The Forest, but it's a lot better than a lot of other survival games in terms of story. Finally, on gameplay, there are several modes you can choose to play. Survival mode, which I've outlined so far. Freedom, which removes the need to eat and drink. There is a hardcore mode, which is permadeath, and finally creative mode, where all bets are off and you've just got access to everything straight away. Graphically, it's a pleasant looking game world to explore, albeit one that's plagued with environmental pop-up. Sound-wise, the game ticks all the boxes with good ambient sound effects, good voice acting that's generally passable, and some nice musical touches. Okay, what's good and what's bad? What's good? The crafting and habitat building are well handled, the plot is actually pretty interesting, and it's a fascinating world to explore, especially when you get down into the dark and dangerous deep. What's bad? Having to manage food, water and oxygen levels all the time is a bit over the top even for a survival game. The game world, although pretty, is mostly empty and uninteresting, and the game is very slow in terms of progression, very slow, making for some mind-numbing gameplay sessions. So what's the verdict? Subnautica is a decent example of the survival genre. It has some genuinely fascinating and intriguing discoveries that partly compensate for the mind-numbing grind of resource gathering, crafting, and so on. Perhaps it is a little bit too pedestrian in terms of its progression, drawing out the process a little too much. But the crafting system is simple and user-friendly, as is the habitat building. Although it's not as much fun building a habitat when you're always looking at the clock. So it's a tough game to sum up Subnautica. On the one hand, it's well thought out, good menus, a really interesting story and a pleasant game world. On the other hand, it's very, very slow, very methodical, very repetitive, really long-winded as well. So, there's good and bad points. On the whole, I would recommend it to survival fans. I think it's one of the better survival games you can get in terms of its, infrastructure in some regard, but it is really grindy. Also, if you like deep sea diving, I think you will really like it as well for that element. But if you don't like deep sea diving or survival games, do not play this because that's what you're going to get. So score-wise, I'd give Subnautica, I'd give it a 7.85 out of 10. Okay, that was the review. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. This is Photography Gamer signing off. Thank you.